stories and to immortalize them in bronze, to immortalize them in timber, to immortalize them in ivory, to immortalize them in ceramics, to immortalize them in corals, in leather, in textiles. These are the hallmarks of what we do, and encoded in these things are the DNA of the incredible learnings of our ancestors. They deserve to always be with the people who are the bloodline of that, to nourish and help them grow, but also to nourish and help the world also grow and understand the diversity of the human species and its contribution to our civilization is something that's unconscionable and something that is a blight on human history. But we hope that this time with this project, we're able to finally start to find the path and to use the negative, as the governor said, from every adversity comes opportunity. And we hope that this opportunity of reconstruction and relearning can invite the world to also not just deliver back objects, but to deliver skills and training and support and investment. It is not just enough just to give back the products that were taken, the objects that were taken, but to also collaborate to make this a world-class center to support the communities of this incredible city and state, and to really let it take its place on the world stage. Some of the things that when we were doing our research, I love this image of the great walls of Benin, this concentric idea of from the family to the community to the network, the city is made. These concentric networks were made out of earth-rammed walls. People say 16,000 kilometers. That's just the inner ring. The total number of earthworks that were made are around 80,000 kilometers of human earthwork. It is the greatest landform on our planet. It is bigger than the Great Wall of China, but we don't know that or express it. This incredible heritage, which archaeologists and scientists now know, is the starting point for what the governor was expressing as the reclaiming of our history to then project into the future. And if I can say that the museum, if I can say that the walls and understanding the archaeology in the walls is like the ring, the body of the ring, the museum is the jewel, that is the accent. So it's really about creating a new body for the expression and the understanding of culture in this great state. The civilization is the reference, the ruminations of my mind, but in really learning from history and using that to interpret with the means that I have now to make a new future. The excellence of the urban planning, of the dignity of the courts and streets and hierarchy of spaces, and the way in which that created the incredible kingdom here is something that we want to reenact in the museum, but also reenact through the rediscovery of the moat walls as an important human heritage. We think the way that this can be done, and there are many examples, and sustainability aligns very, very beautifully with this, is to turn the rediscovery and the archaeological sites into networks allow visitors and the residents to have places and sites and discovery aligned with the rediscovery of the moats of the city, the walls of the city, as a way to start the story about understanding the power and heritage of this incredible city. We think that with the museum site that's being discussed is opposite the Great Palace. And with that of course was originally in the grounds of the Royal Palace. And so the thinking is that that will become the ground base where archaeology will start, but also a reconfiguring of that center to bring up the beauty of that center and to deal with the issues of transportation security, to deal with all the infrastructure that is required to allow a museum of this magnitude to operate in the center of the city, bus systems, coach systems, all the kind of relationships to the wonderful guilds that are behind. All this is being coordinated so that we can reimagine the center as a fitting world-class core, monumental core of your city, befitting of its relationship to the palace, to then invite the world to it. Our inspiration for the palace is very, very much taken from understanding the beautiful architecture of this civilization. And I wanted the work to just come directly from that. I show you just models and drawings of the key architecture of this great region. It is based on the walled system and on courtyards that are climate moderators. What I mean by that is that they cool naturally through their form, and they create intimacy and encounter with the beauty of the civilization's arts, or with the people that are residents in this. This form is very unique to our region, this region of West Africa specifically, but very much it excels and is refined by the Benin Kingdom. So our thinking is that in this category of elements that I showed you, whilst the network of archaeology is happening and the site is being prepared for the museum, the concept of the museum is to set up 8 sort of what I call 4 masculine, 4 feminine forms, 4 rooms which are basically taken from the thinking of the courtyards of a palace, to take those dimensions as rooms of encounter with full reconstructions of the powerful context in which these beautiful artifacts were removed from. When you go to the British Museum, or you go to an American museum, or any museum in Japan or wherever, you see the object, but you don't understand its provenance. You see it as an object, but the object is contextualized within a frame which gives it its provenance. And we believe that that is required to allow both the local residents who have lost that great heritage. You know, if you live in a beautiful palazzo with frescoes, you think it's normal until it's taken away from you. Well, you have had yours taken away, and we believe it needs to be reconstructed so the citizens can understand the dignity of their own heritage. The thinking is to create a walled enclosure garden that is not private but public to the citizens, that is opposite the palace, that creates a public garden for the community to have events and to stage all the things that the culture celebrates. But to create, as it were, I call it a new palace of the people, a cultural palace, in imagining a sort of an abstraction of Benin elevated, the walls and courtyards and the buildings elevated as if on a podium of the people. The base is the people, where we have contemporary art museums, education spaces, auditoriums, scientific research labs, outdoor auditoriums for performances and poetry reading and events that also complements the gardens. And then up above, you know, this is just quickly giving you a ground plan, I'm not going to go into plans, but up above, these 8 chambers, which are part of the reconstructions, which then align themselves with galleries that have the restituted objects in relationship to those. This is giving you a section of looking at the form. Really, what we're going to do is to put architecture inside architecture, so that really these incredible moments can be really enjoyed by all citizens. The entrance space will have a remade city map of the majesty at the heyday of the Benin Kingdom. It will be a reconstruction that shows people how the moat system and the wall system works, and a timeline of that evolution of this incredible construction, and to set the frame for understanding what you're receiving. Galleries of bronze and glass will be set next to what we're calling the pavilions. This is where the restituted objects will be in the display, similar to what you've seen in the world. But the condition shifts when you move into the pavilion and you encounter a fragment of a palace where you are brought into a real one-to-one with a shrine, and understanding the context of the objects in that. Something that you might not be able to do normally can then be now experienced as an education and an edification of this cultural heritage. We will construct with the same materiality and form and remake the light so that the courtyards really have that eminence and that provenance. We will reconstruct the portals and gateways, which were fundamental to the psychology of how people move through the spaces, which are so important. We go and copy Corinthian columns and Doric columns in Europe, but we have magnificent Corinthian gateways and doors and markings, and we need to study them, and we need to bring them into the language of our generations that are coming, to be able to kind of help them with their future, as was said. We wanted to make a special room for recreating the royal spire of the palace, because it's a very special place with its incredible ornament of the serpent and the cockerel. And to be able to see that as an incredible symbol of the kingdom that most people probably don't understand, but is critical to understanding the craft and the guild. This beautiful ornament is extraordinary. Next to it, the timber galleries for the timber objects that we will be showed. The leather and coral galleries next to the spaces that will show that. And always also connecting with windows, vignettes that will connect you to the city. So the museum is also, when it's built, a register of the transformation of your great city. Because the city, we know, will blossom and bloom and boom under the leadership of the governor that you have chosen, and the future leaderships, we hope, who will be inspired by the great work that's being started. And so the museum is not an introverted thing. It is also something that also looks out to the world that's being made and looks in with the objects that are next to it, that are the heritage and history. We said that I want to quickly go through what I call the plinth of this project, which is that it will have a 10,000 square foot contemporary art museum, state of the art, that can have shows from around the world, anywhere in the world, to come here. It is of the scale that allows contemporary shows to be able to come here, to nourish and support, and to also allow the incredible artists here to be able to show their work to the world. It will have an incredible auditorium for lectures and events such as this. It will have a outdoor performance space that allows for pageantry and dance and poetry to be played outside, not just inside. And it will have a state-of-the-art education suite that will teach the generations about their great heritage and culture. And we hope also, at the end, another moment, a sort of viewing tower that will also add to the way in which people can come and just see the great city of Benin and look at its majesty as it moves into the future. That's really the presentation to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think it deserves another round of applause for that resounding presentation. Thank you very much. Keynote presentation by Sir David Ajayi. I want to, at this point, request that the moderator should come on stage. Usai. Can we put our hands together for her? Ms. Usai Alila. She's the moderator of the panel. And here we'll have the opportunity to ask one or two questions. But very quickly, let me have the honor to invite to join her on stage. Of course, we've come to the high-level panel discussion. Let me once again bring to stage Sir David Ajayi, the founder and principal Ajayi Associates. A round of applause. Ms. Owen Omogiafo, CEO, Transnational Corporation of Nigeria. Professor Albert Tijani, Director General, CEO, National Commission for Museum and Monuments, ably represented by Mr. Theophilus Zumobai, the Curator of the National Commission for Museums and Monuments, Benin City. We also have Ms. Adesoi Fedi, Vice President of Africa Programs, Haifa International. Can we please put our hands together for this wonderful woman? At this point, may I hand over the microphone to Osai Anile to begin from there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. It's so exciting to be here today. Our Excellency, the Governor and Deputy Governor of Edo State, thank you for inviting us here today. And we're doing a lot of unboxing and a lot of unpacking of what we just discussed, of course, this morning. First of all, from the Governor, and then also from our keynote address speaker. Sir David, I listened and I kind of smiled through the whole thing. And I'm hoping that everyone in the room was excited about what we are seeing here today. I can see it, and it's amazing that I was whispering to where this is going to be so exciting. I can't wait to bring the kids here to see this. I can see the vision. I can see it, I can smell it, and I can touch it. And that's the beauty of what you've done today. But I want to ask, and because we have a lot of, we're doing hybrid. We have people online thinking to themselves, wondering how they can be involved, what they can do different, and all that. You see, how do we open this up to our younger ones? When we speak a lot of culture, art, a lot of us heard it from our parents. We didn't see everything, but we heard. And now they're thinking to themselves, it's important, but why is this so important? Why is this the main thrust of what we are doing here today? So I want to start from that, because the governor mentioned a few things, and I liked what he said. And I'm just going to repeat one or two things, just to remind us. We need to know what makes us Edo. Simple. We just want to, everybody to attend to Israel. We're all running home. We want to be home. In fact, in the last 4 years, this is the most time I've ever been to Edo State, and I've totally enjoyed coming home all the time. We have to know who we are as individuals first, but also as Edo's. And I know that, and I'm showing this to you, I know you're not Edo, but you are now Edo. You are with us now all the way, because we need to come and make sure that this comes to light. And he says again, we have to know where we are going to take us forward and reconnect our past glory to our future. Our young people are now, they're present, they're the future. How do we get them connected to what we are doing? And how do we get everyone and galvanize them to see what I felt today, to hear it, to be able to touch it as well?
Thank you. Thank you. No, I think that really the way we are doing it is, this is the launch, and we are starting to spread this message, and we're ready to now start spreading this message. And I think that it's not just going to happen in haloed halls like this, yes, but it also has to happen at school groups, to communities. There should be events that really try to sort of explain the thinking, because it's a lot of work, and one has to try and explain why it matters. And I think what is very important is that the museum, when you think of museum, you think it's something that's abroad, or it's not something that you go to. And we don't want our younger generation to see museums that way at all, because it's to cut off your hand to, spite your face. It is really our own heritage, and we need to be so proud of it and to own it and to be showing it to the world. And I think that starts with that grassroots, and also allowing it to come to the families. And for the families to realize that culture, yes, is transmitted from the family, but it's also supported by our nation, our state, our community. It is infiltrating every part of it. I think that when you see the confidence of an Italian, it's not just because it's at home, but because he goes to the museum, because he has these things that says he has a heritage that goes back 500 years. Look at the paintings. We have all that, but we don't share that yet. And that is what we need to build those, what I call like the super Africans, I call them, that are coming. That is the generations that are coming. We need to give them that infrastructure and that support. And the built environment is critical. What is now clear is that you stand on a stage and project yourself in the world. That stage is your city. So if your city does not support you, and does not support the kind of confidence that you have, you are working at half your capacity. We now understand that. It empowers people to feel really encouraged to look for work, to be supportive. The image of the city is critical. That's why I loved what the governor has set out. It's so important that you transform and show that the city is the stage, a proud stage for the citizens. And it's amazing to see it. I've worked on many projects around the world. This is a secret ingredient that is not really so secret, that is always being marshaled when you go to Dubai, when you go to Shanghai, when you go to any city. The image of the city is the stage that empowers the community to grow. It is one part of it. It's not the only part of it, but it's a critical part of how that works. And I think that that's understood.
Thank you so much, Sir David. Thank you. Our starting point, I like that, opening our minds to see and galvanizing everyone to do. And I'll move over to Mr. Theophilus. I think since we're still on the verge of talking about museums and talking about the culture and all that, I'd like to begin asking you this question. I mean, the federal government has been very involved in things. I mean, you are in the museum and in the commission, am I right, sir? Thank you very much. And we want to see, how do we keep our citizens in tune with our cultural diversity and national history? A lot of times we say the stories, but now we don't even hear them anymore. So what are we doing different? And then from here, I will push over to education because I think all of them work hand in hand. But what can you, as a custodian of our culture and our history, what can we do different, and how can we do and change the way we see things now?
Thank you very much. For us at the National Commission for Museums and Monuments, we have a lot of ways we reach out, to the community to remind them of our past, to remind them of our culture, to remind them of our arts traditions. We have, for example, the education department, educational services department. What that department does is to visit schools, primary, secondary, universities, and to create programs and run those programs for these children. They visit the museum during holidays, they have long holiday programs. While they are taught how to produce these artworks using very cheap materials, the ones we can afford.
Mrs. Theophilus, can we put the mic up so we want to hear you very clearly?
All right. We invite these children to come to the museum to do, for example, just one program we call Long Holiday Program. Long Holiday Program. The children come to the museum like twice in a month, 2 Saturdays. And while there, our staff who are trained artists, they teach them how to produce. They show them the photographs of these objects and teach them how they are made. And the children are always very excited about it. During this COVID-19 period where everybody was at home, we didn't rest on our oars. What we did was to reach out to these children via the platform of WhatsApp. So from the WhatsApp group, and through there, we are reaching out to them and letting them know the type of things they can turn out with. And behold, they have been responding. The parents have been encouraging them, buying them airtime and even data to be able to run this program. So we did all that. So we are teaching these children, because that's our target audience, mainly. Yes. Because they are the ones who may not even have a clear idea of what we're talking about. Their parents, they know. Some of them make up their minds, maybe not to react. But the children, when they are exposed to the knowledge, trust me, they respond positively. So we are making our efforts through, slowly but surely, baby steps, just to ensure that these children, appreciate arts, appreciate our culture. And they visit when they come to the museum, we show them around what we have there as well.
Thank you so much, Mr. Theophilus. I mean, I like baby steps, but we're in a generation now that microwave steps are in order. Everybody's in a hurry to get things done. And I like it, the fact that you're using technology as well, bringing them more aware, because we do have the platforms, and these platforms are very available. And we need to think through those processes and use those platforms to move us to the next level, because we're talking about millions, 70% of our population are below a certain age, 70% of them. And these are people that need to understand where we are coming from, so that when we tell them where we want to go to, they understand why we are saying that in the first place. And I like what you had mentioned in terms of the school programs. Adesua, I'll go to you, and it's really a pleasure to have you here today. And I must congratulate you on the work you've done in terms of education across, not only in Edo State, but across Nigeria. Edo Best, given which is an award-winning initiative. It has been adapted in quite a few states, and I know you mentioned some other countries as well. But we also must understand that in order for us to discuss arts, and I mentioned earlier, to discuss history, we need to understand where education is, and we need to understand where the bridges are and where the gaps are. So I'm going to start with you asking a question in terms of, as the educator's dilemma, what are the gaps that we see? What are the skill sets we see that we need to do? What do we need to understand? How do we need to push it out there? And how has Edo Best helped us to get to where we are today?
Thank you, Sai, for that question. Your Excellency, all protocols observed. I think that if we just reflect on what we have heard today from the keynote speaker, it makes me remember something His Excellency used to say when we started Edo Best. He always said, we're not trying to do something we have never done before. We're just reenacting what we have been. And he always emphasized that Edo has been a seat of education. We're not trying to become somebody else. And I think when we go back to history and inculcating history into our curriculum, which was a huge gap, not only in Edo State, but across Nigeria, we lost identity. And we seem to think we are chasing after somebody else, not realizing we're trying to become who we are. And when I thought about what His Excellency used to say then, and listen to what was presented today, it sort of resonates with where we are today as Edo State. Because when we wanted to start this project, His Excellency was passionate about education, all right. But we as an organization, we had to do our own scoping analysis to say, what state in Nigeria or even across Africa should we start from? But after His Excellency became governor, something became apparent that all the lines had fallen in place for Edo State to be the place where we will use at ground zero for this innovation. First of all, the IGR had increased over the years. We're going to have leadership in place. We're also going to have the right culture and the right people. And the fact is that innovation will thrive when the conditions are correct. And the goal was, if we start here as ground zero, it has to be able to attract investors, and other people have to be able to see this as a potential place for education tourism. And today I tell you, Rwanda has been to Edo, Sierra Leone has been to Edo, Pakistan and India are planning to come to Edo State. And Edo State has also attracted investment. In 3 years, has attracted investment to scale that up. So you can't do that anywhere. There has to be certain ingredients that should be in place. And for me, when we look at the history shouldn't just be about telling us where we were and what we did and how great we were. History should tell us where we can be and who we can become. So when we talk about Edo innovating in technology and education, it was about building teacher skills who have never even thought they could use technology before. But by the time you let people know that you can do this, because greatness is in you, that's what we should teach in our school education, aligning our children with their past, but giving them the confidence to get to where they need to go to. So, I mean, I strongly believe that we can innovate with technology in Edo State because our history shows that we have done that. We can innovate in technology, and we can transform, and we should be ready to be audacious, because that audacity is what we showed in our history. That audacity is what has been shown in the education sector. We pioneered Edo Best, and I think that there are many opportunities, and the sky is the limit for Edo State.
Thank you, Adesua. Audacity for change, and that's what our governor has done over the last 4 years and will continue to do. You're a true home girl, if I must say so myself, born in Benin before moving out for your schooling. But I want to ask you in terms of the Benin Historical Project and its potentials to attract investors, because this is an economic summit. We want to do more. We want to see more. We want to change more. But we also know that we need investors to come into the States. And that's why when Sir David was speaking, I was excited because there must be a door that people can walk through. And I can see our history and what we have, our culture, and how people see us being that door. And of course, education also is part of that. But what will make us a sought after destination in your terms, in terms of the kind of investment you've done across Nigeria, across Africa as well?
So thank you. Thank you very much, Asai. I hope this is loud enough. Thank you very much, Asai, and all protocols observed. Before I answer, I have to say I was really excited to see about EMOA, Edo Museum of West African Arts. Really, really excited. So I was born and raised in Benin, just like Asai has said, from going to Agbado Primary School with UDSS, Uniben before leaving. So I'm steeped in Edo culture, and it's really exciting. And I must thank you for the passion that you brought to this project. And I also like the recognition of Edo. As the reason we say Edo is Yabo, we're not joking. It's really exciting to be here today. And I really like what I heard when Your Excellency spoke. Mental infrastructure is stood very, very, very strongly. And linking to what Osai has said, as investors, you want to be sure that your investments are safe. Investments are safe, the opportunity to have the returns that you projected, because as investors, we are liable to stakeholders, various stakeholders from the corporate governance side. I see my dear big brother there, president of the MBA, and how they hold us accountable. The Nigeria Stock Exchange. I'm president of a listed company, Transnational Corporation of Nigeria. You want to see that there are policies that would encourage your investment. Money like water will find this level. That's the reality. Money does not really have sentiments. It's looking to see, where can I go to? Where can I be turned around? Where can I be safe? Where can I be able to project with as much precision as possible? Because investors, my analysts, they are not very forgiving either. If you've told them your figures, you better not try and shift it around. Investors get startled if policies change, with frequency. They get startled. They start going, hey, should we continue? Security is important. This EMOA project that we have now is marvelous. In Transcorp, we are big in hospitality, and Transcorp Hotels is Nigeria's strongest brand and hospitality, with a vision to becoming Africa's premier hospitality brand. Nigeria is ripe for domestic tourism. Edo State has the opportunity to be the Dubai of Nigeria. I'm not saying this just because I want to throw out nice words. It's because it's the truth. And it's something I have thought of long, even before coming on this platform. My first degree is in sociology and anthropology. So when I see an old building being torn up, I weep, because I know we're tearing history. Edo has a strong history. And the beauty of it is that we have people kind of feel guilty about us who want to spend their own money to put forward Edo State. I strongly believe that the EMOA project will be very, very successful. The British Museum, we thank them for what they've given. We'll go for more. We want more, because our relationship with that body is one that has come from the 18th century. We have the stories of Alaghodaro. I am great-granddaughter to Chief Oshodi the Great, so I understand my history. So we are looking to make Edo the destination. Nigeria is so beautifully positioned. We are 6 hours from Europe. 6 hours. 6 hours from Europe, 6 hours from the Middle East. Then Edo is 30 minutes from Lagos. I look forward to Edo State one day having an international airport so that we can just go straight in there. And these things are doable, very, very doable. With our rich history, Benin culture, when I travel and they say, oh, you're from Nigeria, I say, yes. They say, where are you from? I say, I live here, but I'm from Benin City. Actually, when I'm talking to people who understand about arts and culture, they start asking me about the Benin bronze. My project when I was in university was in Benin pottery. So as a result, I kind of like well informed. And I'm from Igun Street, which is where bronze is made. I hope you're going to visit before you go. Do we have the right things? I have confidence. I have faith. I listened to Mr. Governor. I had a lot of faith. You talked about the things that we need to fix. The judiciary, the legislature. Again, I will keep calling Olu. I'm happy he's here because contracts are written for investments. And where are contracts honored beyond the people at the table? What also supports the contract system is the legal system. I like that we've talked about building capacity because you want to cite businesses in place where you also have the natural resources, the human resources. Benin City, Edo State is well positioned in terms of proximity to other locations. As a child, we used to drive from Benin to Warri to just go and eat at Warri Club and come back.
Yes.
Some days we'll drive to River Ethiopia. I don't know if you've been there. And there's this beautiful waterfall. I don't know if we still have such thing. Beautiful waterfall that used to cascade. We have all of this. So to answer you, money will find its level, just like water. And with the enabling, what makes a public-private sector partnership work is for the government to create an enabling environment. That's it. Once there's an enabling environment, the private sector will come. Investors will come. But where you don't have that, even when you try and push forward, investors will ask you questions, and then your credibility is at risk. But I know that's not the case in Edo State.
Okay. Thank you so much, Owen. In fact, as you were speaking, I was already getting excited about, like a Transcorp here in Edo State, so close to the museum. So I'm wondering, in the hotel side of things, are we coming to Edo State? I don't want to put you on the spot.
So you want to put me in trouble with the Nigeria Stock Exchange. But let me answer in this way. Today, there is a gap. We need a homegrown hospitality brand. If you think about it, we are still not there yet. Reflect, think. And we want Transcorp Hotels to be that hospitality brand because the reality is that you need strong hotel chains for people to have that sense of comfort. Now, at Transcorp, we are pursuing an asset-light strategy, which is a strategy that these international brands have used to move to the various locations they are in. They don't own the real estate. They just come to manage it. And that's also going to be the strategy we're going to adopt in making Transcorp Hotels the premier hospitality brand in Africa and beyond.
Edo State. Thank you so much. So David, I'll go to you. I have a question from someone online. And I'll just ask you before we move on, because it's also, as I mentioned before, it's a hybrid. So we have people in the audience and, of course, online as well. Can the Edo Benin Museum of West African Arts (EMOWA) be localized in such a way that creativity can easily be gotten from artists also in the rural areas? And one of the things that the governor had mentioned also was helping in terms of increasing the capacity of those in the state who may have that access to the world-class museum when it is finally built.
That is a programming thing, but I assure you that when you build this kind of infrastructure, that the curators and the directors will make it their mandate to try to understand the whole ecology of the art world that is in this area. So they will be searching for the artists who are in the communities, rural, city, urban, wherever they are. Artists come, you don't know where they are. So you have to have your awareness open, and that's what good creators and good directors of institutions do. And I'm sure that is going to happen. But you need to have the infrastructure there, and they need to plan shows that they want to show, to the community. Shows that are coming from abroad, but also shows that are showing their own talent, radiating out. That's how the market works in the art world. So I think that it will absolutely support and really elevate the way in which the artists from this state will be seen in the world. I can assure you.
Okay. I know you mentioned that this is more a program related function, but I also wanted us to mention that because you can see people are already thinking in their minds, how do we get involved in this? And that's the beauty of speaking about these things early enough so that we know that we have homegrown people to that are interested in what we're doing. And so I'll go to you because I know that with Edo Best and the move that you've made, and I know I asked away some questions on investment, and I also would like to ask you the same question because when this was situated in Edo State, it was also an investment. Investment was made, and I'm asking in terms of your move to the next level. How do you see us as relevant into what is going on now? We're talking about technology, youth, culture, and all those things do work hand in hand to enable us to transcend to the next level. So how, in terms of your work now with HEFA, do you see us coming in and us in terms of Edo State coming in and how we can also galvanize the kind of relationships you have and move us to the next level too? Thank you.
Thank you, Otai. I was really extremely excited when His Excellency talked about the plans for the next 4 years. And I think one of the things that is just so beautiful for me to have been part of this journey is that many of us have always cried that if there is no education, we are wasting our time. It's like having no foundation and trying to build a house. And we're not talking about fancy education. We're talking about basic primary education, literacy, ability to assimilate, to understand, to interpret, and to contribute, to have self-confidence that you can stand outside and speak. Basic education. If I ask everybody here how many of us went to public schools, I know how many hands. My hand will be up. Primary, secondary, and university, public, benefited from government in Edo State. And that is the platform from which we can now be catapulted to the rest of the world. And this is the aspiration for every Edo child. But once we have attained that, the next level is how are we now going to create jobs? How are we going to tap into our natural resources? What role will the land that we are so endowed with play in taking us to the next level? And where does technology come in? So I would say the future, and I'm so excited about the next 4 years because for us in HEFA, we believe that poverty cannot end without agriculture being resolved. We also believe that agriculture can never reach its full potential without leveraging technology and embracing climate change and sustainable development, which was why I was excited when His Excellency talked about the fact that we are losing, arable farming land. We cannot do what we did yesterday tomorrow because there are more people living on the planet today. So the thinking has to be different and technology has to play a central role. But the most important part is that we must secure the human capital in agriculture for the future. The average farmer is 65 years old. Who will feed us? Who will put rice or cassava on your table in 2030? If the youth are not empowered with job opportunities in agriculture and technology becomes the enabler, we won't reach our potential. So we're passionate about agriculture, technology, and youth. And we know that those three things will transform Africa. And we are also now looking at Edo again as a ground zero for innovation and for partnership. So that's how much I would say, Saeed.
Thank you, Adeswa. I think I'll take a few questions from the audience now. I'll take 1 or 2 questions and then we'll go back because we need to shut down soon. So if you have any question, I just take one from this side and one from the right, one from the left. If you have any questions, the lady in red has the microphone. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. I would like to first appreciate Mr. Governor for this nice workshop and Sir Ajayi for the MOA. My question is very brief.
Sorry, sir, can we have your name, please?
Sorry, Charles Mario.
Thank you.
Thank you. I see the beautiful artworks we make in Edo State from history and even what we have in our museums. But my question is, how are the ways that are possible for us to make more of our youth get interested in making these artworks? Because I thought before now there were more artworks down the whole street, more people getting into production of this sort of artworks, the bronze carvings and the wooden ones and all of that. But for me, I think the industry seems to be shrinking. It appears less people are getting involved. I don't know if they're getting disinterested because there's not much people purchasing these artworks. So I would like to ask, what are the ways we can use to get more people to get into this industry and make it more competitive?
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Thank you.
That's a great question. If you look at why museums were made generally, there are two issues. One, I mean, mostly in the West, museums were kind of made to bring up the communities to understand their empires and their colonies and to show them as great people in the world. So the museum is a really interesting trick. It elevates the value of your craft and your arts to allow you to find a certain prestige within it. So yes, you're right. It's, in Benin right now, you can go to the guilds, you can go to these places, and there are issues to do with value and all these things. But when you set the frame of those things within a context that actually elevates them and gives them a provenance that makes it aspirational, you will see what it will do to how the value and the relationship to that transforms in your community. It's very, very relational. And it's something that is one of the reasons why we do these things, why we teach from, these institutions that elevate, and, why we have these, arts, why we have, artworks in museums, is to create the kind of the cycle that allows that to be an inspiration, to allow that to be something that is picked up.
All right, thank you very much. I'll take one question. Okay, I have someone with a red cap there, and then I'll take another from Mr. Iguda, and then that's it, and then we have to move on.
Thank you, madam. My name is Anisubio Kareke. Came all the way from Lagos. But my question is mainly on the reason why we're here. That's investment. And they should go to the government. One of the panelists here mentioned about giving enabling environment for investors. And that's where my question goes. But I'm free to do that. Now, coming to Benin, Benin is lucky to occupy a very central location in Nigeria. For many people traveling to the east, to south, and even towards the north, is strategically located. But there is a problem. That's security. I must thank the present government for the efforts so far made in the past 4 years in providing security.
Thank you.
But a lot needs to be done. If you are traversing from Lagos to Onitsha, from that Oluku Junction to the bypass, you notice a lot of trailer parks causing accidents. You notice a lot of insecurity, thieves and robbers operating on that practice. And this thing has some negative impact on would-be investors. I want to know what effort the government is making in trying to ensure that the trailers, articulated trucks that are parked there, making entrance into or out of Benin very sluggish. This encourages investors.
Okay, thank you.
And just one final thing, also to government. And I think it's very important. Immediately you pass Oren, coming down here, the number of checkpoints are unbearable. They make things very, very difficult for people. These affect investment. Thank you very much. So the government should do something.
All right, then. Thank you so much, sir. So I'll take the last question from Mr. Alaghodaro, and I know that we're going to have a final word from the government, so I'll leave that to them. Right in front here. No. Right in front, the very first line, yes, and then we can move on. Thank you.
Your Excellency, Your Excellencies, our guest speakers, and distinguished sons of Edo State. Mine is not really a question, but a bit of a comment and then a few questions.
I was going to suggest to Sir David that in building this center, this museum, there might be a need for a little room where you can show a film for people to see the past history of Edo, Benin Kingdom, and Edo State, so that people can go into that room like they have in various museums all over the place. And I think that it can be the centerpiece of recreating parts of Benin City, the old parts of Benin City. Need to recreate some of those parts so that the whole environment can be a tourist or tourism attraction, so that the old city can be recreated. And then perhaps, Mr. Governor, a new city with a new airport recreated a little bit outside of the city to move the traffic the other side and take advantage of the central location of Edo State. Your Excellency, I want to thank you for changing the narrative a little bit and for talking about mental infrastructure. My Bible calls it, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. And if the mind is not transformed, the man cannot be transformed. And I want to thank you also for making culture the centerpiece for economic revolution. I think this is the first time in Nigeria that the government is focusing on culture as an economic piece for renaissance. This is like a renaissance and an economic renewal. I think Edo State can be great again. God bless you.
Thank you. I knew I did not make a mistake for allowing Mr. Alaghodaro to speak and ask questions because he's always so motivational. Thank you so much, sir. I know we have to shut this down. I know there are quite a few other questions, but this is not it's not a 10-meter race. It's a journey. We're going day by day, transiting, learning, and learning again and again, moving forward. And that's what we will all do together in Edo State. So I'm going to start from Adeswa. I just want just one sentence. What do you want to leave with us today? The governor is here, the deputy governor is here, and just throw it out there like a Christmas wish list.
Thank you, Sally. I wrote it down. Now I'm scrambling to find it, but just one thing, and I think it captures all we've said today. We have been audacious in our history. We have demonstrated audacity in the last 4 years. In the next 4 years, we have to show more bold strides. We don't need precedents to do what we need to do. And I know that Edo will be ground zero for Nigeria's transformation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr.
Mine is just to place on record what the Alaghodaro asked me to do, Professor Abba Tijani, to show appreciation to the governor. He has not come here today to just say words. He's a man who is a lover of culture and arts, appreciator. He assisted the National Museum Benin in more ways than one. He put his money where his mouth is, and today we can boast at National Museum Benin that we have an exhibit gallery that is worth viewing. 80% of the work there was done by this man. So I believe that when he came up with this idea of ECOWA, that he will run it through, because if he could do it for us at that minute level, he will take it. So nobody should doubt its result.
Thank you.
Because he has a history of that.
Thank you so much, sir. I'll go to Owen before I go to our keynote speaker. Yes.
Edo is great, has been great, and will attain even more greatness. We're all in this room today. As someone who leads a large corporation, leadership is so difficult. And mine is just to say words of encouragement, I think, to say, and a commitment as well from private sector, that with the right environment, private sector will work with the government to make Edo greater than where it is today. We have brilliant minds. We have a very strong work ethics as Edo people. We need opportunities, and I'm really glad, like Pastor Itra talked about, the focus of culture. Culture. At the federal level, we have Ministry of Culture, Information, and everything wrapped together. We should look at Dubai and see what they've done with culture. Look at Singapore, look at Japan, look at England, and see what they've done with culture. We have raw gold in our hands with the culture that we have. So we now need to mine it. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you so much. I'll go to our keynote. You have to end it for us.
I am a guest in the nation, but I think I can echo what you said. For me, I think that the 21st century will offer many challenges, and I think culture is one of the great undervalued assets that we have on the continent, and it is a huge area of growth, of jobs, of prosperity, of sustainability, but also of edification of our communities as we move into this century. So I'm just honored to be with you on this journey, and I will do everything in my power to help make whatever you need me to do come to life.
Thank you. Indeed, we are on a journey to make Edo State an economic power and the best place to live. So we're excited, and I want to say a very big thank you to every member of the panel, starting with our days to Mr. Theophilus and Owen, and of course, our keynote, Sir David. Thank you so much, everyone, and enjoy the rest of the afternoon. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Please, can you remain where you are? We'd like to invite His Excellencies, the Governor and the Deputy Governor with their wives, to have a group photograph with the discussants. Thank you. Meanwhile, we'd like to inform I'd like to inform His Excellency that Edo Diaspora Women for GO, all the way from United States, Canada, and Europe are here to grace this event. Can we hear you? A round of applause for them. Thank you. And very quickly, Ms. Donna Obaseki Ugunaike will be performing with Tony Akiola, the guitarist. Please, can you step forward? We're running off. We'd like you to step forward. As soon as they step down, you step up. Meanwhile, be on your lane until the governor steps down. You cannot step up. Thank you. Thank you. Can we please put our hands together for the panelists one more time? Wonderful job they have done. And we also have the elderly here, led by Chief Obomo. We thank you for coming. Thank you very much. We appreciate you. Ms. Donna Obaseki Ugunaike is an award-winning oil and gas lawyer for 20 years, an internationally recognized poet. Can we please put our hands together for this fantastic lady as she steps on the stage to do this great poem or poetry. This is strictly to entertain His Excellencies and the guests and all the participants in this summit. Thank you.
afternoon, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Am I allowed to speak into you? Can I be real for a minute? Anyone with their hands up? Thank you. The name of this piece is, do you remember? Do you remember? Dedicated street lights strengthening the footfalls of our ancestors. Paved roads lined by walls that were the source of a children's dream. Sweet proverbs that soften the decisions of the foolish. Strength that ripples through the muscles of our warriors, all formed from the fabric of greatness that is inside every one of us, the true Edo born. Do you remember? May we never forget the victories of our heroes past, Ezomo and Queen Idia, deftly pummeling every resistance to nothingness, the arrogance of our defiance in the face of troubles. We Edo peoples love. We are unafraid of what may come. We understand what is in our blood. Do you remember? This is our inheritance. The core of our genealogy is greatness. Let us not forget our fathers like Iware, the great king, building empires, driving stakes into the reddened earth of our sun. For we once knew of our beginnings, that we come from a lineage of warriors, that the scars that have been stitched to our backs are so that we do not forget our victories, that we are power redefined. We are the Edo peoples. Do you remember? They say it is a day of mourning when a people forget what they are. But a people that have been birthed by greatness will be forced to remember. Even the scorch of the sun pierces our skin to force us to feel again. Regroup, be reborn. That even the winds whisper these songs of our history, calling on the children of the red earth from all the corners of the world. You are the stakeholders of the new dawn. Can you hear them? And we hear the rich resounding voices of our fathers and mothers calling. They say, tell our children that we do not ask what they will be in the future, but we must remind them of the blood that exists and the power that they have on the inside of them. Tell them that even though death is certain, we must not then lay ourselves in the grave. Tell them that dusk is a time in a civilized day, and they can start even here. Start there. Can you hear them? And we respond to our ancestors' call. Our diversity is the source of our strength. Different tribes taking rank and standing in formation. Warriors who would not give up the dream. Shoulder to shoulder, we will face the of the winds. And we are here to make Edo State great again. Are you with me? Can you hear them? Yeah. So let a new pride take over from the ashes where our children were once scarred. For we are the ones that bring forth children who are not winged into poverty. We will win our realities masterfully until we have a glorious future. We will bite into the fight, and like our mothers, we will bear down and bring forth this new reality, a new drink for Edo State, premised on culture, bringing all of the stakeholders of industry from across the world. And when they ask you, what are we doing? Tell them that we are the elixir of magnificence. We are We are the tale worth telling. We are the story worth starting over. And we say that these tales of once upon a time will become realities before our very eyes. For we are in response to the hopes of our fathers. Understand, you are the diamonds that are forged from the tears of your mothers. We are the present song of our future's remembrance. And like our ancestors, we are the ones that will call again and ensure that the future does not forget, for we will win this fight for them. Because even dusk is a time in God's day. We will start here, start now. Start here, start now. Regroup, hear your land calling. For even if a child runs away from home for 1,000 miles, his shadow is firmly rooted in its birthing place. Edo is calling. Remember.
I'd like to thank you for the standing ovation for this Edo lady. Incidentally, she's an offspring of the Obaseki family. Fine. We've come to realize that the Obasekis are very successful people, intelligent people, and of course, focused people. And we're lucky to have him here as the governor of Edo State. If you know in the heart of your heart that we are lucky to have Mr. Godwin Lawyers of Obaseki as governor of Edo State. Can you put your hands together? Extremely lucky. Let's celebrate the man of the moment. I thank you all. I thank you all. Thank you. Let me recognize Elton Uzameri. Thank you very much. Immediate past Chief of Staff. Thank you. At this point, may I have the honor to invite His Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Edo State, a very proactive, purposeful, loyal, determined, focused, and ready to work and serve the good people of Edo State. Right Honorable Comrade Philip Shaibu. Can we please put our hands together for him? Thank you.
They're trying to put me in trouble by peppering them. My senior brother and boss, the way can see, the digital, the technology-driven governor of Edo State, Mr. Godwin Obaseki. My sister, the wife of the governor of Edo State, and the first lady and the mother of the state, Mrs. Betsy Obaseki. My sweetheart, who was just Christian angel yesterday by Mr. Governor, Mrs. Miriam Philip Shaibu, the youngest speaker in Nigeria and his wife, the youngest speaker of Edo State Assembly and the youngest speaker in Nigeria. I thought you didn't hear that. The chairman of APC, All Progressive Congress, Edo State, chairman, Mr. Aslem Ojezwa. the state chairman of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Honorable Anthony Azegbeme. Are we not lucky? It's only Governor Obaseki that can bring APC chairman and PDP chairman and sit here. Mr. Governor, I want to just rest on the protocol you have already established. But before I do that, our president is here, the president of the Nigerian Bar Association. And my twin brother, Barrister Osarajo again. Very gentle, quiet, but dangerous. And my brother also, the Crown Prince of Benin Kingdom, Oba Atokwe. I want to just start by saying, I'm sure I listened to the last, the presenter, and I'm sure Edo people, both home and abroad, listen to her. Edo is calling, and it's calling at the right time. Please take advantage of this call. Edo is calling. And if you join this movement, you will be recorded as those that make that change in making Edo State great again. Security in Edo State, the governor is doing a lot of things to change the pace of security. And in our second year in office, he started a process that we need to have community policing. But, you know, our constitution puts certain things on concurrent lists and exclusive lists, and security is one of them. You have a governor that is interested in making you sleep with your two eyes closed so that investment in Edo State will be safe. But he doesn't actually have control over this apparatus. He needs to call the IG, he needs to call the president for army, he needs to, everything you have to call Abuja. But like he always tells us, the problem of Nigeria, or the problem of government is not money, it's thinking. And when you think, you plan. Money is the least of it. And that is how we have gotten to where we are. And in our second year in office, he started a process that, by the grace of God, Federal has taken advantage of. And the present IG was then the AIG in Edo State. The arrangement that we have now in country, starting with the state policing method that the IG has adopted, was actually crafted by our own son and the governor of Edo State. And when it started, the IG has to send his team to Edo, say, go to Edo, there's a document when I was AIG that was done. And they came here, and that security architecture, by the grace of God, tomorrow our first set of about 950 will be passing out from Ogida Para. The first set of community policing graduates will be passing out tomorrow in Ogida Para. And recently, Mr. Governor said, beyond this, we need to domesticate security. We have to localize security. And he said we must strengthen and reorganize our vigilante network. We have power, but he said this time we must, because when you are in the environment and those that are in charge of the security of that area, gathering data, networking and understanding those within the area must be locals and need for us to develop the vigilante system. And he has set up mechanism is in place already to get this vigilante trained, and facilities that they need to actualize this objective are already in place. Just to answer the question of, I can't remember the man that asked the issue of security. I don't forget, that's why we have democracy. When he was speaking, some persons will say, throughout I traveled from Lagos, I didn't see one checkpoint, and that is not good. But he is saying, is there too many checkpoints now? So that is where governance comes in. So I just to let you know that we are doing a lot of things because we are inviting investment, and investors obviously will not only put their money where their investment will not be secured. Edo State has a security architecture that will not only protect lives and property, but your investment, you will reap the dividend because our geographical location guarantee that you will be like one network. I don't want to advertise them. That came to Nigeria, the first said they declare profits. So when you invest in Edo, your first year, you will declare bountiful profits because of our geographical location in the map. When you get to just check out Edo, where it's located in the map of Nigeria, you see why you need to come and invest in Edo State. For our youth, Mr. Governor has told us, and he has continued to say it, our mental infrastructure is critical to creating that stomach infrastructure. That is one message that I know is inspirational. And our pastor has confirmed it, that message is inspirational. Let's take advantage of it. And when we do take advantage of it, you also will be recorded as that guy that also contributed to making Edo State great. Let's take advantage of every of our time. What have you done with your time? When people say time is money, truly time is money. But when you convert that time to courtesan, convert that time to using social media to locate where the next palliative is, that time will not be useful, but that time will be used in a negative way that will be destructive. For us in Edo State, we will take opportunity of the crisis in the country to rebuild our economy, even when we have started. They said the journey of 1,000 miles started with a step. The step that Mr. Governor has taken and his team have taken in the last 4 years is one step that have made Edo the next destination of investment. Edo is real. Edo is here. Edo is for you to grab. And I want to end by saying that we are ready to, we believe in climate change. We believe in climate change, and we are doing a lot of things to deal with it. Mr. Governor was sharing with me when we were playing golf recently. He said, new map is here. We are just reactive. We are dealing with erosion, and we are controlling erosion, things that are already been, devastation that has already occurred. Why can't we prevent this? And those resources that we are using to prevent will have done something greater and better. And in checking, just like he said this morning, we have to check, we have to reignite our attitude. The bureaucracy needs to be trained and retrained. We need to retool everything about bureaucracy in our system. And in checking recently, we discovered that in some, I will not want to review this one. We discovered that we need to just train our bureaucracy. And in doing that, institutionalization of every of our policy is key and critical. And that is why when you check our blueprint for the next 30 years for Edo State, obviously, our panelists one of our panelists, the Transcorp lady, refused to answer a question. I'm sure she'll be running after us to have Hilton or Transcorp in every of our local government by one start. So please, she spoke about and she refused to narrow it to Edo. But I'll hold you, you will narrow it to Edo. I want to thank the panelists. You were wonderful. A lot of things that you said inspired a lot of us, even in government, and I'm sure it also inspired a lot of people watching. But one thing I can assure all of us is that this governor that you see here is not in government to make money. It's in government to make a difference. And it's one governor that is not looking at the next election, but is looking at the next generation. So I welcome all of you to Edo State. I welcome all of you to Edo State and to say that Edo is great. All destination for investment, please, must be Edo. Investors, you are welcome to Edo because Edo is the next future of this country. So welcome to the future.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I invite the Deputy Governor of Edo State, Right Honorable Comrade Philip Shaibu. Very quickly, for a vote of thanks, let me have the honor to invite the man I want to describe as the most gentle in this government, very calculating, a man with high level of intelligence. Can we please put our hands together for Osaudio Ogie Esquire?
Governor of Edo State, Your Excellency, the First Lady, the Deputy Governor of Edo State, Comrade Shaibu, Your Excellency, the Second Lady of Edo State. Well, let me start on the existing protocol. My task is very simple. This is the fourth Alaghodaro Summit, and as one of the trustees of Edo Summit Alaghodaro, I'm here to thank all of you for finding time to be here. But first, I think we should thank God. Sitting down here, I look back what Mr. Governor and Deputy has gone through in the last 2 years, and I said, only God could have done this for us. I always say, and I will not be tired of saying it, God is God. And He will always show that He is God. Then the Edo people. Many of the speakers spoke about the audacity of Edo people, the spirit of Edo people. We must thank the Edo people for standing up for the truth. Mr. Governor, 4 years ago, promised the Edo people, told them what he intended to do, and in 4 years, he surpassed what he promised. Why will Edo people not reward with another 4 years? The panelists, fantastic people. We are happy that we have our own people in every area who, whenever we call upon them, they are happy to come here to assist us in pushing the Edo agenda. For our brother from Ghana, I will go to take time again because your lecture, brief, touched a lot of things that we in government need to really look at. It's like we abandon those basic things like culture, which we should take seriously, but we're just doing some other things. It's not too late. We'll start it from Edo. I won't want to bore you. for too long. Let me just thank you on behalf of the governor and the deputy governor for coming here to make them proud. And I promised 4 years ago that he will not disappoint. I stand here again to say he will even do more than he did in the last phase. Thank you very much.
Thank you. A man of few words, full of actions. We'd like to quickly inform you that there is lunch immediately after this event at the front of the governor's office, and your tag is your access to the venue. Please, we'd like to admonish that you do not rush, particularly when you're stepping out of this hall. His Excellencies and those in front, row, second, third, and the fourth, even to the fifth row, will leave first before every other person. Please let us maintain some decorum. And to also let you know that later today at about 5, there is a match, a football match between the Sierra Leoneans and the home base Edo people. The match will kick off precisely at about 5 p.m. You are expected to watch from home. I hope that is clear. I've been sufficiently informed that it's going to be live on screen. And so there may be no reason why you have to be there. But in case you have invitation, you may go there and watch them live. Thank you. So please, the lunch is after now. The lunch is after now. Please make sure you don't throw away your tag. It's your access to the hall. Thank you. LXS. Can we go? Thank you. Well, my name has been Terry Isaac Sidaho, and it's been a one-time, very beautiful time to spend with you moderating this event. All thanks to His Excellency, and all thanks to the committee. Alaghodaro, thank you very much for the opportunity. Standing. The ancient city is calling. All rise and send us of the land. The king of the city is marching. Stand up high to the pride of the land. The founding fathers have labored, and the time to serve is now. The glory of the new Edo nation will forever be our pride. Beautiful Edo, glorious Edo, all of hearts beat all of Nigeria. Beautiful Edo, glorious Edo, stars are singing over you. You're the land people dream to be. Our treasures are found in all nations, and our greatness is second to none. Our history forever shall be written. Our gifts have endured the times. Our people, culture, and unity. Our God is for the land. It's culture, stories of heroes, legacies forever. Beautiful, beautiful Edo, glorious Edo. You're the heartbeat of Nigeria. Beautiful Edo, glorious Edo. Thank you. It's over. Please allow His Excellencies to leave first before every other person. We're going to leave in a single file because the door is narrow. Let us avoid stampeding at the gate of the door.